Good morning. Welcome to Get Active TV, Rise and Shine. Thank you for tuning in to today's Power to Zen class with me and Dawn. So I'll be covering the first half of the section, and then Dawn will be coming over to cover the second half, especially for the Zen portion. Now, more importantly, today's session, we're going to work on shoulder stability and mobility. Now, mobility is super important. It helps us to reduce chance of injury or risks of injury, and also help us improve movement pattern. So allows us to move, allows us to carry, and allow us to perform. Stability is also important because shoulder stability will allow us to have greater mobility in our elbows, wrists, and shoulder itself. So we need to combine these two things together. Now, if you have always been or have ever experienced pain, pinch, or even dislocation in your shoulder, especially when you're raising your arms up, so this is definitely the session for you. Now, I've got 7 simple movements to help us get started to strengthen the joint, and then we're going to go through a very quick workout that focuses a lot more on the upper body strength. All right, so what we need today is a towel, preferably a long and thin towel, so maybe a face towel. And then as well as water bottles or very, very light dumbbell. It doesn't have to be heavy, so don't challenge yourself with heavy dumbbell. Just try to pick up 2 light dumbbells or 2 water bottles, fill it up with water or anything, it'll be great enough. All right, so the 7 movements, let's get started. So the first movement that we have is internal rotation. So all we need to do is focus on keeping the shoulder in its place. So pull the shoulders back just a little bit. Don't be slouching. Pull it back just a little bit, set it in line, make sure the shoulder is right underneath your ear. And then from here, we're going to focus on rotating inwards. And then back out as a reset, inwards, and reset. So what I'm going to do is, with the towel that I have, I'm going to focus on bringing it in and bringing it back out, okay? This is the internal rotation, and then this is the external rotation, which we'll focus in a while. So focus on rotating inwards first, pull the towel in, pull it in, pull it in. So focus on resisting your other arm. So my right hand is working. I'm going to pull it inwards. I'm going to try to go about 10 to 12 repetitions. Take it nice and slow. This is not a tug of war. It's basically focusing on engaging the shoulder rotators to get it all fired up. There are some muscles and tendons involved in stabilizing the shoulder joint. Focus on engaging them will allow us to strengthen it, okay? Now I'm going to try on the other side as well. So holding on to the towel, any directions that you want to with your wrist, focus on bringing your arm inwards. Okay? Again, it doesn't have to be hard. As the repetition goes on, you'll find the burning or you'll find the engagement. Simple movement. If you find that elbow is flaring out, just put a pillow, a cushion, or another towel underneath between your elbow, as well as your body. Now, what we're trying to also focus over here is that it is not just simply an arm or elbow movement. You want to make sure that you can actually see the shoulder moving in and out, okay? So the shoulder blades should be moving together with you, okay? This is shoulder focus, so it doesn't make sense if your shoulder is not moving. So make sure your shoulder is moving alongside with you, okay? Now, once that's done already, we're going to focus on pulling outwards. So from here, pull it outwards, and then return, pull outwards, and return. So you can see that I'm pulling the towel away from my other arm. Again, the grip doesn't have to be super tight. You just want to feel that your arm and your shoulder blade is moving together with you, okay? Turn it out. Also, you might also be able to feel that your shoulder blade is pinching towards one another, okay? Pull it out, feel the shoulder blades pinching, moving towards one another. Okay, now, same thing for the other side as well. So I'm just grab hold of the towel with my right hand, and my left hand will be pulling it outwards. Okay, in case you're wondering where to find a towel that looks like this is my daughter's diaper towel. It's nice and thin and long. Pull it outwards and return. So I hope that you can see my arm moving, especially my shoulder moving backwards. Okay? Again, about 10 to 12 reps. This is a conditioning exercise or engagement activation exercise. You don't have to sweat it out. All right. Now, next one that we have are lateral raise. So you need 2 bottles. Okay. Now, the focus over here is to be able to bring the shoulder blades upwards and rise it up. Okay. Rise it up and down. We're not quite trying to work on that deltoid muscles over here. Just think about raising your shoulder blades up and down. Raising your shoulder blades up and down. So if you have a mirror, especially two mirrors, back and front, you want to see that your shoulder blades are moving up together and then down together. While we're working on movements, I've seen it very often that if you're not looking at the mirror right now and simply using a video to record and document the movement, often than not, there are instances where the arms move like that. Okay? So that's kind of like a demonstration of instability or immobility in the shoulder. So try to make sure that you've got your arms moving up and down in the same speed, same direction, and same manner. Okay? Now, as you raise your arm up, feel a little bit struck on the shoulders, and then bring it back down, because we're focusing on engaging the shoulder blades or the scapulars. So arms up, scapulars goes up, and then arms down, scapulars goes down. So there will be a little bit of a winging out movement of the shoulder blades as well as we're doing this. Okay, once we've done that, we're going to go on to anterior, so the front raises. So bring the arms up and down. Shoulder blades goes down in this case. So as I raise my arm upwards, notice my shoulder blades goes downwards. So, and we want to see that, okay? Don't force your arm to rise without moving the shoulder blades. So condition the shoulder blades to move alongside with you. As the shoulder blades goes down, the arm goes up. And then as your arms goes down, the shoulder blades goes down. It goes up. So it goes in reverse. So the shoulder blades is pulling, allowing the arms to rise. And then the shoulder blades is rising, controlling the descent of your arms. We'll try 5 more. Last 5. And down. Shoulder blades goes down. 3, 2, and 1. Okay, easy. Once again, reminding, don't have to be heavy, all right? So don't go over what you can do. Focus on the movement. That's really more important. Now, next one that we're going to do is pinching. So this looks like a chest stretch, but as you're stretching the chest out, you'll actually be squeezing your shoulder blades together. And then release. So I'm going to turn around so you can see me. So I'm going to squeeze my shoulder blades together, and then I'm going to stretch it out. So rounding my body. Pull, squeeze my shoulder blades together, and then return. Pull, and then return. Engage and activate, focus on squeezing your shoulder blades instead of just moving like this. So this is not what we're looking for. Notice my arms are moving, but my shoulder blades are not moving as much. So what we want to do is engage, activate, initiate the movement via the shoulder blades, squeeze it together, and then release, spread the shoulder blades out. Last 5, squeeze, and release. 4, release, stretch your chest out. And last 3, 2, and 1. All right, so that's our 6th movement. The 7th movement is the most interesting one. You can either do it against the wall or you can do it lying down on the floor. I'm going to stand up tall so you can see me better, but try to find a wall where you can lean against the wall. So if you take a step back against the wall, your feet can be away from the wall, but make sure your hip, your shoulder blades, your elbow, your knuckles are against the wall. So now lean against the wall with the head against the wall as well. So I repeat, head, shoulder blades, tailbone, elbows and knuckles against the wall. Okay, with the elbows and your knuckles in line with the wall, slide your knuckles and your elbows upwards as high as you can, and then pull it back down. So in this case, what we're looking for is for the shoulder blades to be moving this way. All right, going up, and then coming back down, going up. If you're feeling good and the shoulder is all healthy, you'll find that you can raise your arm all the way up and then pull it all the way down. All the way up, and down. If you notice that your tailbone's popping out, or your elbows or knuckles are moving out, pull it back, limit the range of motion. So even if your range of motion is like this right now, it is okay. Now, on a side note, if you find that your fingers are starting to feel numb, tingling, or you can feel restriction or pain, now you can continue to go through this movement, but also bear in mind that you should eventually be consulting a physician or professional to have your shoulders checked out at the same time. Okay? So arms up, and then coming back down, raise as high as you can. Okay? The minimal range of motion that you should be seeing is about 45 degrees up here, and then a 45 degrees down. If you can bring your arm all the way up, that is perfect. Okay, so minimally 45 degrees against the wall, 45 degrees against the wall when your arms is down. So last 3, 2, and 1. Okay, so that's done. So we have 7 movements. Check out all this movement. I'm going to go through movement very quickly. We have the internal rotation, we have the external rotation, with the lateral raise, we have the front raise, we have the scapular pinch, and then we got the wall angel. Sorry, 6 movements. Okay, now we're going to go through a quick warm-up, quick workup, that focus on the upper body strength. So we have push-up, dips, and overhead press. So we'll need the bottles or the dumbbell once again. Again, the dumbbells don't have to be very heavy. Just find whatever you can find at home. It could also be a backpack as well. Now, what's interesting about this workout is that we have the front press, okay, that focus on the shoulder blades moving front and back. Okay, we have the downward press that focus on the shoulder blades moving up and down. And then we have also got an upward press that focus on the shoulder blades winging in and out and up and down at the same time. All right, so if you're ready, let's get started together. Okay, the first movement that we're going to go into is push-up. We have 15 push-ups altogether. So position yourself. You should be quite familiar with this movement right now. If you need scaling, again, just comment below in the chat, and then we'll reply to you very, very quickly. Shoulders over your wrist. Extend your knees upwards. Keep your torso nice and tight. You're going to go down to a push-up, chest onto the ground. Do not rest fully. Keep yourself engaged, and then push yourself back up. We have 15 presses to go. So going up, 2, 3, 4. The challenge, if you can keep your knees and your thighs off the ground, keep it off the ground all the time. So only your chest is in contact. Your knees and your thighs are not in contact. Okay? Should be last 5. Last 4. 3, 2, and 1. Okay, so there you go. We have our basic push-ups, and then we're going to go into chair dips. So I don't have a chair over here right now. I'm going to use this shelf. I hope it's stable. Okay, now hands on the side. Bring your hips or your tailbone away, but keep it as close as you can. Your legs can be extended, or you can pull it in. Now, set your shoulders down, stabilize it, pinch it back together. You're going to slide your slide your lower back or your spine as close to the edge as possible before you push yourself back up. So we have 15, slide it down and up. Don't allow your shoulder to slouch. This is a shoulder focus activity or workout. So make sure you pull your shoulders back all the time. Going down and up. Options or challenge, you can put a weighted backpack or put a dumbbell on your lap to create a little bit more resistance. Or if you have a dip bar at home, rings, TRX, or any hanging mechanism, you can actually be performing the dips on the hanging mechanisms as well. So we're 15. I think we should have about 5 more to go. Let's try 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, so we have the press down. So notice the shoulder blades goes up and down. And we want that. All right, next one we have overhead presses. I've got water bottles here, but if you have dumbbells, try to use the dumbbells. So place the dumbbells or the water bottles against your shoulders. So that will mark the start and the end of the position or the movement. Press up, bring your elbows as close to your ear as possible so you can see the alignment, and then bring it back down. 2, 3, 4, elbows coming down, elbow leads the way. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, breathing in, going down. 10, last 5. Breathe in and exhale, press it out. Exhale, press it out. Elbows coming down. Make sure you bring the dumbbell or your weight back to the original position. Last 3, 2, and 1. Okay, simple. We're going to go back to push-ups with 3 rounds to go all together. So hands back onto the ground. If you want to challenge yourself, of course, you can try different methods, turning in, turning out. Have your palm facing the other way around as well. But it's okay to just go back to basic. We definitely want to see the shoulder blades moving. Do not slouch, okay? This is the one movement that we definitely don't want to see. So keep your shoulders engaged all the time, going down, and then press up. 3, 4, and 5. Keep your shoulders engaged, forward, and up, going down forward. We don't want to see this, okay? So keep the shoulders engaged all the time. If you need to, knees down, so you can feel the shoulders working, and then pressing. Okay? Going down and up. That should be my 8, 9, 10. Rest whenever you need to, okay? It is okay to rest, especially if you're focusing on particular muscle group. Last 5, going down and up. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, so if you can feel that the shoulder blades or the neck is starting to tense up, that's a good sign that you're working the right thing, okay? We're gonna move on back to the dips. This time around, I'm gonna limit the range of motion a little bit so that you can actually see the firing or the working of the shoulder blade. So from here, make sure you pull your shoulders back, bring it forward, or say bring your body forward, slide your spine going down and back up, down and back up. I'm gonna turn this around so you can see the shoulder blades working. Okay, so my shoulders goes back. I'm not rounding, I'm not hunching. Shoulders back, my tailbone is closed, my feet is out. I'm gonna go down and up, down and up. So as I mentioned, I'm limiting the range of motion so you can see that I'm working on the shoulders, not just the triceps. Okay, so going down, last 5, down and up, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay. Moving back to the weights. So have the weights ready. Go into a starting position. Press it up. Elbow leads the way. Bring it back down. 2, 3. Slow and steady. It's not just the extension of the arms that we're looking for. Make sure you can feel the shoulder blades going down, sinking. So shoulder blade has to be working. And then back in. Press up and down. All right, if you feel that your arms is limiting, again, you can feel some pinching, pain, restriction, or unnecessary relaxation of the shoulder joint itself. Now, try to limit the range of motion or go on a lighter weight. Press up, stabilize the shoulder, and then bring it back down. Okay. So once again, we're focusing on shoulder mobility and stability. So get the joints nice and strong and healthy. It will allow us to have better performance, lower the risk of injury, and live a pain-free life. Okay, we have last 5 to go. Press up, and then bring it back down. Last 4, last 3. Exhale, going up, 2, and last 1. Okay. All right, we have one last round to go. Okay. Just wiping my hand. Again, if you have any questions about the movement, don't forget to comment and let us know, and we can discuss that with you, all right? Hands back down. Okay, let's have a little bit of fun over here. So if you observe what my shoulders are doing, my arms are straight right now. I can even be rotating in and out. You're gonna sink your chest down towards the ground and then push it back up. So these are scapular push-ups. It's very good for you to identify how comfortable and how healthy your shoulder blades are. So if you find that you can't sink your chest down, you're not quite moving your shoulder blades at all. Okay, so we want to keep the shoulders rounded to keep it engaged. And then from here, as you lower yourself, you're kind of like moving forward at the same time. And then press yourself back up. So I'm going to do it a little bit slower. So chest is in, shoulder blade is rounded, lower, 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 lower. A little bit of a pinching is okay. And then you're going to push yourself back up. What we don't presses. So press through, press through, and then I'm done. Okay, press through and we are done. Okay, push through and down. We got 15, last 13, last 12, last 11, in case you can't hear me, last 10, and I believe you can't. 9, 8, elbow leads the way, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, done. All right, I hope you enjoyed today's session. I'm going to pass on over to Dawn. So get your mats ready and get your towels ready. I'll see you guys in a bit.
Welcome back. I'm Dawn, and I'm here to take over the second part of Power to Zen. Thank you, Sam, for warming everybody up. As mentioned earlier, we are focusing on the shoulders, right? This is a very overused and very unstable joint. Many people complain about it. So when we say it's for shoulders, we really mean it's for everybody, okay? So for my part, I'm gonna be doing more stretching. So I will need you to have a towel handy. A bath towel is great because it's longer than a face towel, right? And obviously a mat. I'm gonna start off with the standing movements first, all right? So with the first one, we're gonna do eagle pose. If you need to have a wall to support you, or a table, or a chair, go right ahead, because we're gonna be working on balancing as well. Let's start off with your feet together, and we're gonna have your left leg cross over your right. Now, if you can see my legs, I still have my top leg on tiptoe. This makes it a whole lot easier for me to balance, but if you're okay, I like you to sit lower and have your top leg kind of wrap over your bottom one. Right, so if you need that wall or table or chair to help you, go ahead. Arms are extending out. Here are your eagle wings. Let's close them. Right arm under, left arm over. And if you can have your palms come towards one another, that would be great. If you cannot, then let's just have the back of your hands come against one another, and that's fine, right? Once you know you're in position, you're gonna have to find a focal point to help you in balancing. What I'd like you to do is also try to raise your elbows up towards the ceiling. Where you're gonna feel the stretch is along the back of your shoulders, the back of around the shoulder blade area, okay? So the higher you can bring your elbows, the more intense this stretch becomes, right? Anytime you need to come stand on both feet, go ahead and do that, right? So allow your shoulders to kind of unshrug away from the shoulders, from the ears at the same time as you raise your elbows up. And ideally stay here for about 8 to 10 breaths before we now open up your eagle wings. And then we have both feet down on the ground. Let's do the same thing on the other side. So the great thing about this pose is it doesn't just affect your shoulders, it affects your joints around the knees, around the ankles, if you're able to wrap, and of course your hips as well. So I'd like you to try to keep your knees pointing towards the front. We have the right leg over the left this time. And now we're gonna have your left arm under your right. Bend your elbows and then have your back of the hands or your palms coming towards one another. Once again, raise your elbows up towards the ceiling. I'm gonna show you how this looks like from the side, okay? So you'll see that I have my shoulders unshrugged and my elbows reaching up towards the ceiling. The lower you sit, the easier it is for you to wrap your top leg over your bottom one. All right, let's hold it here for just 2 more breaths. Observe your breathing, okay? We are stretching, so I need you to breathe in such a way that helps you to be able to relax the muscles, and shallow breathing just will not cut it, right? Let's uncross the arms, uncross the legs, and come back up to stand on both legs once again. All right, so that's a really easy stretch for the back of the shoulders, right? Never push yourself to the point where you're actually tensing up. Let's come into a high lunge this time, and we're gonna have your hands on your hips to start off with. Once again, to find that fishbowl that is filled to the brim, we're gonna keep it level so we don't spill water towards the front, especially once you step back. So have your right foot stay in front and your left leg taking a big step back. Option 1, which is always easier, you have your back knee down towards the ground. Option 2, you work on the legs as well. I like to multitask, all right? So while we're working on the upper body here, the shoulders, let's give our lower body a chance to work as well, right? So you have a chance to keep your knee down to make it easier for balancing and on the muscles as well, or you can work harder. Now we add on the arms. Let's take your hands behind you. Interlock your fingers. Now I'm gonna bring my knuckles, my hands over towards my right side waist. So I'm gonna bring my knuckles to the side. I'm gonna show you how it looks like from the front now, right? At the same time, I'm gonna press both elbows towards the back. And if you cannot bring your hands over to one side of your waist, you just go as far as you can, right? If you can't, it just means you have to keep trying. This is exactly what you'll need. All right, now we're gonna drop the head in the direction where your hands are. All right, so we're gonna add a neck stretch here as well. Your neck, your shoulders, your chest, your upper back. These muscles are very closely related. And anytime any one of them is tight, it's gonna affect the other guys also. All right, so while we're stretching the neck here, all right, it's also gonna affect your shoulders. So while you're keeping your hands on the side of your waist, don't forget to be pressing your elbows towards the back. I'm gonna feel that stretch across the front of my shoulder. I'm gonna feel the stretch across the side of my neck. And I'm also feeling that stretch across the front of whichever leg is extended back. Now let's come back center. Step forward to the front of your mat, and let's change over to the other side. Hands are reaching back once again. This time, right leg steps back. Big step. Again, option, knee down towards the floor. All right, so keep your spine more upright. Extend that back leg. Keep it active. Front knee bent. Let's take your hands over towards your left side, waist this time. Elbows reaching back. We drop the left ear towards the left shoulder. So you feel that stretch now towards the side of your neck on the right. And you're also going to try to bring your elbows back, open across the chest. So sometimes we tend to cave the chest in subconsciously, especially in this case where you're trying to balance, right? So notice if you're starting to hold on to unnecessary tension around the chest, around the shoulders, just try to let it go. So if it's causing you too much strain and stress, your option is to just lower the back knee down, okay? So just hold it here for just one more breath. And slowly coming back center. Step forward to the front of your mat. All right, so those are two very simple movements. We worked on the back of the shoulders, front of the shoulders. Let's come into your wide-legged forward fold now. Stepping the feet out wide, we're gonna face the side of your mat. I'm gonna have you turn your toes in just slightly. So instead of your toes turning out, turn them in slightly, right? In fact, if you can turn them in a little bit more, better still. You're gonna feel that stretch along the outside of your legs also. All right, so let's have your hands go behind. I'm gonna interlock my fingers once again. All right, now from here, I'm gonna fold forwards, right? For some of us, this might be the maximum, and that's okay, you just stay there. If you can go lower, just try to let your arms, with the assistance of gravity, reach towards the ground. I'm gonna show you how this looks like from the side. So make sure you have a wide enough stance, right, as you come down. Keep your palms pressing against one another as you lower yourselves down. So if your arms don't come down too low, it's okay. What I'd like you to do is to not try too hard, okay? Once you do, you're gonna create more tension. Again, 8 to 10 breaths before you slowly make your way back up. So you should have felt that stretch along the back of your thighs. You see the blood flowing down from my face right now. Anti-aging, better do. All right, so at the same time, it's also helping to decompress your spine using the heavy weight that is your head to pull on one end of your spine. All right, so I didn't stay for the whole 8 to 10 breaths, but I'd like you to try to do that for yourselves. The longer you can stay, the better, because you're gonna get a deeper stretch for the back of your legs as well, which is what all of us need, right? So arms will go up and overhead. If you have to, you just bend your knees a little bit, and that's okay, right? So don't force yourself to keep the legs straight, especially if your lower back feels uncomfortable. That is your wide-legged forward fold with a stretch to the front of the shoulders. It's really good for the chest as well, right? Let's move on to the next one. So we're coming into Warrior 2, starting at the right side of your mat. Let's take your left leg back. The bigger the step, the more challenging. So if you need to make it easier for yourselves, you just make it a shallower stance, a narrower stance, right? So bigger the stance, turn the back toes in. You're gonna get a slightly deeper stretch as well to the outside of your leg, for those of you taking a wider stance, right? Front knee stays bent, back leg stays straight, and we're gonna have our body face, your chest and your hips facing the left side of your mat. Your knees and your toes on that bent leg faces the front of your mat. Now we're gonna take your hands behind you. I'm gonna show you how it looks like in a while, right? But make sure that you're setting up yourselves in the legs properly first. You notice from the front, I have my shoulders relaxed, I have my elbows bent. Now from the back, I'm gonna have my fingers come towards one another in what we call reverse prayer. So this is really good for those of you with a lot of tightness deep, deep, deep inside the shoulders, all right? So you're gonna have to try to avoid overarching in the spine as you do this. So I'd like you to keep a little baby crunch going on here to keep the spine more upright, and then try to get your palms to come together. So this is your reverse prayer hands in your Warrior 2. Multitasking, right? Might as well work on the legs while you're working on that shoulder stretch here, right? So if your palms don't touch, it is okay. Now for some of you, you may find that it's impossible to get your palms to face one another as your fingers are pointing up. Should you need to, have your palms face down instead, and that's okay, all right? You might find that you're getting a really good forearm stretch And that's exactly what's going on here. Let's do the same thing on the other side. So you don't have to take your hands apart from one another. We're gonna work on the legs here. So all in all, you're gonna stay for about 16 breaths working in your reverse prayer hands. All right, so avoid letting the chest cave in or the back arch. While you're here, make sure that the inner corset is still working. All right, so I mentioned this many times before, right, when I'm teaching the yoga segments here. When we breathe as we're working, you inhale through the nose in a natural way. As you exhale, it's like you're trying to fog up a mirror, but your mouth is closed. Right? But when you're resting later, right, when we're doing the more grounded poses and it's more relaxing, your breathing will change. For now, while we are working, I like you to breathe in a way that helps you to engage your deep core muscles. Right? So focus on your breath, not just on going to form shapes or going into a particular movement. All right, let's very slowly straighten both legs. Heel toe, your feet together, and just let your hands come on down by the side and just shake your arms out. So you should have felt that stretch around the wrists, forearms, and obviously around the shoulders as well. Let's move on to your next pose here, your low lunge. Standing towards the front of your mat, you're gonna take a big step back, but let's have your towels handy with you. Cushioning the back knee is a lot more comfortable for many people, all right? So you want a good distance between your front and your back leg. This is gonna affect your hip flexors, and it undoes the damage that comes from very long hours of sitting, which all of us do, right? When you're commuting, when you're eating, when you're working, when you're watching Netflix, all right? So just give yourself that opportunity to stretch your hip flexors ever so once in a while, right, throughout the day. It doesn't have to be at one shot, 1 minute. You can pace yourselves, 30 seconds at one time, do it twice a day. It's still better than never doing it at all, all right? So from here, we're gonna have your hands coming down, your hips coming down towards the front heel, making sure not to collapse around the lower back, right? So you may not bring your hips as far forwards, but at least you're being really kind to your lower back, and you are still gonna get a very good stretch along the hip flexor here, right? So from here, spread the toes open. We're gonna take both arms up, palm to palm. Now cross your right thumb over your left thumb, bend your elbows. I'd like you to take your thumbs to the back of your head or the base of your skull, right, along the back of your neck. From here, I'd like you to push your head against your hands and try to look up. Now, if you cannot go as far, that is fine, all right? If you can, use your head, push the hands back, you're gonna feel a stretch around slightly different muscles around the shoulders now. There's so many muscles that insert into the shoulders. Do not just do 1 or 2 poses. You need to do a few to really hit these guys, all right? So look up towards the ceiling, open across the front side of your neck, and you're gonna feel that chest just broaden across from shoulder to shoulder as well. Anytime we cave the chest in, it does limit our ability to breathe deep. So this is gonna facilitate you taking a deeper breath. One more deep breath here. And then very slowly release. Coming back, let's step backwards, all right? So shift your weight back, and then knees side by side, all right? You're gonna change it over so that your right knee now is on your towel. Left foot steps forwards. Back foot, you can either point or tuck. It's entirely up to you. I'm gonna wiggle, wiggle, wiggle my foot forwards, spread the toes open. Now I shift my weight forwards, making sure that I am not collapsing around my lower back. I'm not flaring my ribs or poofing my stomach. So I still keep my baby crunching muscles switched on. Arms extending up, palm to palm, but this time, let's have your left thumb clasped over your right. We're gonna bend your elbows, use your head, push against your hands once more. So your elbows are flaring open, right? You don't wanna have your chest caving in at this point. So use your head, push your hands back, and try to look up. Holding it here for another 4 more breaths. I like the movement where you're using your head to push against the back of your hands, because it really helps to get you conscious of bringing your head backwards as well. For most of the day, we tend to stick our faces towards the front, right? Towards some technological device, right? So give yourself that chance here to work on pressing the head backwards and then looking up towards the ceiling as well. It's a little bit of exercise for the eyes also. I quite like that. One more breath. And then slowly extend the arms up. And then we're gonna shift the weight back. let's move that front leg back as well. All right, coming into your seated position, have your towel handy, yeah? We're gonna come into Gomukhasana, cow face pose. If you were to put a camera right on top of you, and you come into this pose here, where you have one knee bent under, and the other leg is over. At this point, from the ceiling, from an aerial view, you would see 2 cow horns, right, and then your body, right? So this is like the head of the cow, and these are the horns. So that's why the pose is also called the cow face pose. All right, let's add on the arms here. So at this point, with one leg on top of the other, before I move on, right? For some of you, you may not be able to get one knee on top of the other. And this is kind of like how you look like. It's fine, as long as you feel that stretch along the outside of your, whichever leg is on top. That's just how it's gonna look like for now, okay? So if you can have one knee on top of the other, great. But I need you to make sure that both sides of your hips are level and they're resting on the ground. Now, we're gonna take your left arm back. We're gonna bend the elbow. So kind of plant your hand or the back of your hand against your upper back. Bend the elbow, bring the back of your hand as high as you can. Other hand goes up, bend the elbow. So for those of you who can interlock your fingers, fantastic. Unfortunately, for most of us, too much tightness because of lack of movement around the shoulders. So you're gonna have your towel in your, whichever hand is on top. You're gonna bring it up and back, lower it down. And then whichever hand is at the bottom, you catch it. And then you just work to get your hands closer together. All right, so if you have a yoga strap, great. If you have a belt, great. If not, a towel. I believe everybody has one at home, right? So work the hands to come together. Just walk, 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 walk till eventually they can come together to interlock. And this might take you weeks, this might take you months. It's okay, right? It's a work in progress. We're gonna stay there for about 8 to 10 breaths as well. And then very slowly, release. And then we work on the other side. The whole time stretching this guy here as well, right? So let's go on to the other leg on top. Left leg under now for me. Right leg on top. I'm gonna adjust myself so that from the top view, I would see those 2 cow horns, right? Feet are on the side. This time, I'm gonna have my right arm from behind go under, bending the elbow. I'm gonna try and wiggle my hand closer towards my upper back. So if you cannot, that's fine. Remember, you can use the towel, right? So whichever hand is still free, you're gonna bring it up and back with the towel, hold it with your bottom hand, and just start to walk your hands closer towards one another. So if you have an injury, like myself here, okay, the arm at the bottom, it's going to be quite painful. But because I have so much scar tissue inside, it's even more important, right, that I do this kind of a stretch. So if you have scar tissues, if you have injuries, if you have tightness, we really do need to make that effort to improve circulation around that area. The more you avoid it, the worse it becomes, right? So do yourself that favor. Get over the difficult part first. It gets easier and easier, right? Maintenance is always easier than the initial work, right? So just tell yourself, it's not gonna be that painful forever, but it does get better, right? And if you don't do anything, it gets worse, right? Then you get frozen shoulders. All right, very slowly, release, take it down, and then let's move on to your next one. That is very painful for me, but that is also one of my favorite movements, all right? So next up, we have thread the needle. You can have your towel in front of your mat because that's where your face is gonna go. We're gonna start off on all fours. I'll face you for this one first, right? So we're gonna have your knees hip-width distance apart. This is your needle, right? You're gonna thread it across to the opposite side, right? So whichever hand is coming up, we're gonna bring it across from behind the opposite arm. The shoulder comes down. Whichever arm is supporting you right now, you're gonna bend the elbow, you're gonna rest your shoulder down on the ground, you're gonna rest the side of your face or the side of your head down towards the ground as well. And from here, take your top arm up, turn the palm back, bend the elbow, and just let your hand come on down to the opposite hip. Now, look at my hand. If you can, I'll show you from the other side later, okay? If you can, actually, yeah, you can't see. All right, I'm trying to grab hold of my inner thigh. For the hand that's on top, it's grabbing a hold of my right thigh, wriggling towards the inner thigh. So that helps me to have an anchor to hold on to open across that top shoulder some more. This is a spine twist at the same time. Bottom arm, I'm stretching across the back shoulder. Top arm, I'm stretching across the front. Let's do the same thing on the other side. All right, so go ahead and take your top arm up, press it down, and let's do the same thing, right? So now you should be able to see what my back arm is doing, right? So I'm gonna take my left arm across to my right this time. Head comes down, shoulder comes down, top arm up, turn the palm back, bend the elbow. For most people, you're gonna get stuck here. If you can, you're gonna bring the hand down to the inner thigh side, wiggle, 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 walk, walk, walk towards the inner thigh. This shoulder naturally starts to move back. And I open across the chest more, I stretch the front shoulder. At the same time, bottom arm, you'll see that I'm actually stretching the back of my shoulder as well, right? So very multitasking poses here. You get a lot of benefits out of each one of them, right? At the same time, I'm helping to, with the assistance of gravity, bring more blood flow to the upper extremities as well. Right, so it's quite a restful one. You don't have to worry about losing your balance here as well, right? And then 8 to 10 breaths before you release. Slowly, everything in reverse. Press down to push yourself back up onto all fours. And then take a seat. I'm gonna have the towel on the ground still, but I'm gonna open it a little bit more now, right? So face coming down towards the ground once more. This is an intense shoulder stretch. So for those of you with injuries like myself, please be cautious, right? You're gonna feel that stretch across the front of your shoulder, specifically this part here. It's also a spine twist to a certain extent. So we're gonna start off lying down on your tummy here. Now, from here, I'm gonna have my knees turn towards you. I'm bending my knees at the same time, right? So I'm lying down once more on the side of my face. The top hand, now both arms are on the side. Do not start to bring them back, okay? Keep them here. And then I'm gonna bring my left arm up and back, like I'm trying to reach for my other arm behind me. Cannot touch, that's very normal, right? If you can, great. Cannot, never mind. Now, if you're able to, top leg, I'm gonna have the knee point up towards the ceiling, and if you're able to, bottom leg also does the same thing. So if you can interlock your fingers behind, great. Cannot, never mind. All right, and very slowly, we're gonna come back. Knees down, press to come back up, and I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. All right, we're gonna come back onto the tummy once more. Okay. All right, I'm gonna finish off with the other side. All right, so let's turn towards here. Knees bent, top arm up, and reach. Top leg up towards the ceiling, bottom leg as well, holding it out here. 8 to 10 breaths, so if you can interlock, you interlock. Cannot, never mind, all right? Coming back, knees down, press to come back up, and then coming up to a sit. You can always rest down on your towel, folding it up at the end of it, okay? Placing it behind your back to lie down on the ground if it's comfortable for you. But I'm gonna conclude today's practice, all right? And I do hope that it's helped all of you with shoulder tension. Thank you so much once again for joining Sam and myself for Power to Zen on Get Active TV. I'll see you all next week. Bye.